Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to dive into a truly fascinating Nobel Prize-winning discovery. It's all about the silent peacekeepers that live inside every single one of us. This is the story of how our body's most powerful defenders are kept from turning against us. Let's jump right in.
So, let's start with a big question. Just think about it for a second. Every day, your immune system is like this incredibly vigilant army, protecting you from all sorts of invaders. It is a really powerful force. But that brings up a pretty fundamental problem, doesn't it? What stops this powerful army from turning on its own country, from attacking your own body?
So, let's get into our first section. Our journey really begins with this fundamental challenge that's happening inside all of us all the time: the immune system's constant struggle to tell the difference between a friend and an enemy.
You see, our immune system has two main branches. On one hand, you've got innate immunity. Think of this as your body's first responders. They're fast, they're non-specific. We're talking about things like your skin or just general inflammation. Then on the other hand, you have the adaptive immunity. These are the special forces. These are your T cells and your B cells, and they learn to identify very specific enemies, and they remember them. But when you have such a powerful, targeted army, the most important mission of all is something called self-tolerance. Basically, knowing not to attack your own body. Without that, you'd have a civil war going on inside you.
So how exactly is this internal peace maintained? For decades, this was a massive puzzle in biology. The answer, as it turns out, was so important, so revolutionary, that it was worthy of a Nobel Prize.
And here it is. The 2025 Nobel Prize was awarded for cracking this exact puzzle. These laureates uncovered the secrets of something called peripheral immune tolerance. Now that sounds like a complex term, but all it really means is the essential process that stops our immune cells from running wild and attacking our own healthy tissues.
So who are the brilliant scientists behind this? Well, this monumental prize is shared by three people: Mary E. Brunko and Fred Ramsdell from the USA, and Shimon Sakaguchi from Japan. Their work, when put together, completely revolutionized how we understand the immune system.
Now this story, their discovery, it didn't just happen overnight. It was more like a scientific detective story, a tale of how three different scientists, each following their own clues, managed to piece by piece unravel one of biology's biggest secrets. So let's walk through how this puzzle came together. It really started back in 1995. That's when Shimon Sakaguchi found a mysterious type of immune cell that seemed to do something radical. It actually suppressed immune attacks. Then, you fast forward 6 years to 2001, Mary Brunko and Fred Ramsdell find a totally different clue, a single gene, which they called FOXP3. They found that when this gene was mutated, it caused terrible autoimmune diseases. The final piece of the puzzle clicked into place in 2003. That's when Sakaguchi proved that the FOXP3 gene was the master switch for the very same suppressor cells he had discovered all those years ago. Everything connected.
These discoveries didn't just answer a question, they opened up an entire new field of immunology. So, with that background, let's now take a closer look at the science behind these amazing cellular peacekeepers.
So, how does the body make sure it doesn't attack itself? Well, there are two layers of security. The first one is called central tolerance. You can think of this like a training academy in the thymus and bone marrow. It's where potentially harmful immune cells are eliminated before they're ever sent out into the body. But, no system is perfect. A few rogue cells always manage to slip through. And that's where peripheral tolerance becomes absolutely critical. This is the security patrol out in the field, responsible for controlling any harmful cells that escape that initial screening. And the Nobel Prize, it was for figuring out exactly who this patrol is and how they do their job.
These security patrols, the cells that Sakaguchi discovered, are called regulatory T cells, or for short, we call them TREGs. You can think of them as the immune system's dedicated peacekeepers or security guards. Their entire job is to patrol the body and stop friendly fire, telling other immune cells to stand down if they mistakenly start to attack our own tissues.
Okay, so if the TREGs are the peacekeepers, what gives them their orders? Who tells them to become peacekeepers in the first place? Well, that is the job of the FOXP3 gene. Think of this as the master controller. It's the genetic switch that flips inside a T cell and tells it, okay, your new job is to be a peacekeeper. Without a working FOXP3 gene, the body just can't create this peacekeeping force, and that leads to catastrophic autoimmune disease.
Now, this is all fascinating biology, of course. But the real reason this is so important, the reason it won a Nobel Prize, is what it means for medicine. So let's see how this discovery is moving from the research lab into our actual lives. And you don't have to take my word for how important this is. The chair of the Nobel Committee, a man named Ale Kempe, he put it perfectly. He said, "Their discoveries have been decisive for our understanding of how the immune system functions and why we do not all develop serious autoimmune diseases." This knowledge has just opened up completely new ways to treat diseases. It's all about learning how to turn the dial on these tregs, either up or down depending on what you need. For example, in cancer therapy, you actually want to reduce the tregs around a tumor. This takes the brakes off the immune system and lets it attack the cancer more effectively. But for autoimmune diseases, like rheumatoid arthritis, you want to do the exact opposite. You want to boost the tregs to stop the body from attacking itself. And in transplantation, learning to regulate these T cells can dramatically reduce the risk of the body rejecting a new organ.
So the crucial point here really cannot be overstated. These discoveries didn't just add a new page to the textbooks. They literally launched an entire new field of study, the field of peripheral tolerance. And that field continues to drive a huge amount of medical innovation today.
You know, this focus on the genetic basis of how our bodies work, it has a really celebrated history. And it's a nice moment to remember that way back in 1968, the Nobel Prize in this very same category was awarded to the Indian-American scientist Har Gobind Khorana for his absolutely foundational work in cracking the genetic code.
All right, let's bring it all together now. If there's one key takeaway from all of this, it's this. Our immune system maintains a very delicate peace, and that peace is actively enforced by these special security guard cells, the regulatory T cells, which are themselves created and controlled by their master controller, the FOXP3 gene. In the end, the incredible work of Brunkow, Ramsdell, and Sakaguchi has given us the keys to control our body's most powerful defense force. And so that leaves us with a very exciting question for the future. What other medical breakthroughs will these peacekeepers unlock next? Something to think about. Thank you for your time.